W for women. Florence Taylor makes the first heavier than air flight, so not in a balloon, in George Taylor's glider, which she built in 1909. What I did was I made a wing construction, and I've used acetate, which is packaging, and wire, but it doesn't look right. It's just too heavy and thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mould it over a wooden surface. So what I'm doing is I've cut a thing the shape of the wing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve an aerofoil in it and then mould it. So the idea is now is to you might see here on the end I've drawn the aerofoil shape here, drawn a line along the back of the thing for the depth, and then I'll carve it out and then I'll mould over the surface. So the idea is just to carve it away now down to the depth, correct depth, and I'll be able to mould two wings. This one, the other one, I'll show you what's wrong with it. See that back surface, see that bulge there? That's never going to go away, doesn't matter how I do it. I'm going to see the bulge there. Front rib's too thick, let's turn it over. That balsa rib's much too thick, that's going. It's meant to be a very thin rib. And also I've had to join it in one place here, so what I'll do is I'll cut much bigger bits of acetate. I hope I'll be able to mould it in one section. It's got, look, if the wing was much bigger it'd work fine, but the aerofoil's nice. These things are too thick altogether, but if I make them thinner they won't hold up the acetate, so not good enough. So I'll carve a mould, which will it'll only take about a quarter an hour I think, and I'll be able to get two wings out of it, and then I won't actually build the ribs, I'll paint them on. I think that makes much more sense. Okay, that'll do. So you might see that there's a bit of a curve forming there. See the curve? To be able to mould this, I'm going to have to put this in a vise. So what I'll do is I'll just put in a couple of things to support it. Glue, glue, glue. Won't need much because I'll need to pull them out again. I'm going to use this wood again. It's going to be recycled. But so what I'll do is I'll just make sure that sticks in there. See that? That'll go into the vise because I need to mould over the top. So do a couple of those. I'll put another fillet in the back here, right to the end. So what I'll do is I'll make a heavy impression here, making a bit of an impression on you. Oh, I made an impression on you. Like that. Okay, see that? That's it. Carve that away. So what you do is, much as possible, slowly and patiently, watch your fingers and the hands the whole time. Been very lucky with this book. I really haven't caused myself any injury. Shouldn't say lucky really, should I? It should be a managed thing. Of course I didn't injure myself. I have used the best health and safety techniques. Yeah, right. Anyway, one does one's best. So, like you just carve it out. It's a bit difficult because, you'd normally use a router like this. You'd use a bit that can get in there and chew it away. Whereas I sort of have to angle it. It's a bit of a pain. It's not as accurate as it should be. Tim Burton. So that's glued in. Now what happens is this goes in the vise. George Taylor's glider. W is for women. Florence Taylor is the first woman to fly in a heavier than air aircraft. So it's not a balloon, you know, like a lighter than air. Now to make this, I've moulded a wing. See the cross section? It's not very good because it's not supported by anything. Now it's a biplane glider. If you see biplane means bi, two wings. To make this work, what I've done is I've got my bottom wing and I've strapped it down with these two pieces of bamboo, and that's holding it in place. This is called a jig. To get the correct angle on the wing, I've put these two end planes in, which is remarkably like a Hargreaves box kite, because Hargreaves put the end sails on for stability. But in this case, all I've done is hold it up there to keep the angle correct. Now what I'm going to do is, once I've got these struts in, which are pieces of wire like that, they've been put into the wing, and I've put them together with a tie strap made of acetate. So what I've done is I've put in the struts to support the top wing, and what I'll eventually do is, and what you notice is there's a slight angle going from the centre struts upwards. Can you see how it goes upwards? That's called dihedral. It's to make the glider stable. As it flies, it makes it balance. So I'll push it down like that. See how the dihedral comes up like that? Now at the moment what I'm doing, and this is weird, here's the weird bit, I'm using hair. Let's see if you can see that hair. See my thumbs? I don't know if you can see it. In between my thumbs I've got hair, but I'm going to use that. Oh, if I still got it, I need some white. I'll show you how fine this is. But remember, the wire that they used to brace these gliders was very fine. Anyway, I've got that between my fingers. What I'm going to do is I'll show you how I rig it. The rigging is bracing, so what I do is I get some glue, super glue. This can be hard to see. I'll put some super glue on the end of the thing. I have to make sure I don't get it on my fingers because it'll stick my fingers together straight away. There's the tip of the glue. So I pick up as much glue as I can on the end of the hair. A little bit's not good, you need a lot. So I have to go across it a number of times. Oh, I had it. Now that's a good amount. Now the trouble is it's warm in the room, so the glue's pushing out of the glue tube, which is a disaster. Now this goes onto the end of the strut. Down at the base of the strut, I get the hair with the glue on it, stick it to the base of the strut and just leave it so it dries. Now I'll do that again. I've got some excess hair here. What is that? Oh, I just pulled it off. God, good one. Don't tell me I just stuck it down and then pulled it off. Duh. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, what we do is we get the hair. So you stick it down and just leave it. Doesn't matter what happens to it, it's just got to stick to the base. It's fine. I'll stick that on both sides. I'll show you what happens after that. These hairs are so fine you probably can't see them. They're so fine. But that's the scale thickness. I've tried cotton, I've tried all sorts of things. It's too thick, it doesn't look right. Now what I do is get the... But they have to dry for a long time because otherwise I keep pulling them out. I need a hook. So what I do is I put glue on the join where I want the cable to go, the bracing line. Now watch this, this is so weird. I grab the wire that's going across, and I can hardly hold this stuff, it's so fine, I've just pulled it off. Oh great. Let's try again. Last time I just tried this a moment ago and I pulled the wire out. Look, I don't know why I've bothered with this. Look, I just knew if I filmed this, it's such a plain object. Plain, P-L-A-N-E. It's such a plain object, I thought it just needed something to make it look right. So what I do is I wind I'm holding it, the glue's on top of the strut, and I've just got to hold it till it hardens. I guess I could do it with tape. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty good though. Now once this jig has supported up the struts, what I'll do is I'll just cut it out and pull it away because those struts are now supporting themselves. Just to make sure I don't take any of the wires out because I've pretty well rigged it up. You can't see it now, but you'll see it when it's being lit for the shot. I've got another couple of biplanes and I haven't rigged them at all. It just takes too much time, but you don't see it. You shouldn't see it. If they're the correct size, they should be barely, almost invisible. You know, like, this is what I love about using super glue. I've used super glue to put this jig in. The jig is the shape of the wing. See how I've got the wing angle in there? See the curve of the wing? That helped me construct that whole top wing and make sure the struts were all the correct length. I'm just going to make sure I get it out. I don't know what it's sticking to. So try and manhandle it out of there without breaking the top. Because I've just put little tie pieces in there to hold the struts together. It was a very difficult thing to do, this one. I used to love building biplanes, but it's different because they're all, when you're doing a plastic kit, it's too much force. So what I'll do is I'll carefully prise this one loose. See this piece of balsa wood? Carefully prise that loose. There, see, it's gone. Now, I can't begin to tell you that anything you do with this has to be done gently. There's no way you can employ force. Now, can you see that? I wonder if you can see the cross wires. Anyway, they're all through there. That'll look great when we photograph it. Okay, it's make or break time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the wing on top of the struts. Now what I need to do, I need to glue this all the way along. I need to stick this on and then I need to tape it on with, like make it, so maybe I should have the tape ready. Two long bits of tape. Trouble is it'll curl. See the tape? That's ready to stick over the top. I'll show you. You'll see it when it happens. This is called a jig. I've probably said that before. The thing holding this together, this thing here is a jig. Let's move these so that they don't stick together. So what I'm going to do now, I'll glue along the whole length of this. Small glue at the ends, big glue in the middle. This is the bit that really has to stick more than anything. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work, you know, like far out. Always makes me nervous, this make or break time. It has to work. I don't have an option because once the glue sticks it's going to craze. Once the glue is there, where it touches the wing will become misty, and it has to be on the right spot, so I can't just sort of have a guess at it. It really has to be right, it has to be correct. So yeah, it's a bit of a gamble. Okay, now it's pretty easy. All I need to do is line it up in a way. Look. It's pretty right. Oh no. It really sticks. For the first moment it really sticks. The trouble is, if it's in the wrong spot, you're in trouble. Okay, now I'll show you how the tape works. I don't know if this is even going to work. I'll change hands in a minute. I know I'm masking it off now. What you do is, stick the tape down. I hate this bit. You have no way of knowing how straight you're going to get it. Okay, not enough tape. I know you can't see this, I can't do anything about it, I'm just going to have to keep going because now the glue's there. Oh dear. Now what I'm going to do is to hold that in. This is going to hold it while it dries, hopefully. All my wires have compressed. Anyway, I don't know. Now, I'm going to do this a couple of times. So, see how it's stuck? Anyway, the wires have gone slack. I'll sort that out later. Let's put another one up. That's why I've got it set in a jig so that all the angles are correct. Anyway, it depresses me, this bit always depresses me because I'm committed. This is the job where you actually need 3 hands. And guess how many I've got? Count them. 1, 2, 3 hands would be good now. All the wires have gone wrong anyway. Let's just get it in. Okay, it's a mess, isn't it? But the tape's not stuck to anything and it's holding down the whole wing. So when it dries, I can see if I can sort out those wires. I don't know, maybe. But it's together. That's cause for celebration. Cause célèbre. This one didn't go. Jeez, I don't like that. Okay, let's see if I can get the pliers in there. Might have to cut this one out. Maybe what I can do is pull it. Oh no, I can't. It's stuck already. I'll cut that one out. Anyway, that'll do. So what I'll do is I'll cut the clamps free, and we'll see if I can get that. See if those wings have settled down properly. Ah, gee, it looks fantastic. It's just if only those cords hadn't slackened off. Mount Stewart, oh, what a lovely place. Now, some of the things you might notice is my tension wires have gone slack, so I'm going to have to find a way to tension these up again. I don't know how. I guess I don't want to go. But they've all gone slack, so I don't know what to do. Now what I'm going to try and do is take this end piece off. This is the jig. if you're welding or creating an aircraft, they would have worked with a jig too. Oh dear. Little hum of the camera. I can hear the hum of the camera. I'll never get to that one. Yes, I will. Ah, that's good. It's going to come out. I just got to be careful because if you nudge anything, it very fragile situation now. That jig was good, it held everything up. That's going to look fantastic. I don't know if you can see the rigging wires. Oh, barely. Yeah, you can see them just. But that's going to look fantastic. Really, what I could do is I could release these now. I don't know what's going to happen to the wing. There's one loose. That was such a good clamp. Bamboo, God, I'm going to get some more bamboo skewers, I can tell you that now, because they're not only good for that, they're good for working with bamboo skewers. Woohoo. How exciting is that? It's gone together. That is so exciting. That's going to photograph so beautifully. All I have to do is figure out how to tension the wires again. I'm setting up the tail booms now. I've joined two together in the way of the glider. You can see how the two pieces are set together. Now the tail surfaces I've cut out of packaging. So what I've got is I've got a piece of acetate from a Christmas mug. See how shiny it is? I've started scoring it through with a knife, but I might just finish it off with the scissors because I was starting to go off track there. Oh, don't like the look of that. And that's going to be the tail section to the glider, but you can't paint it because it's much too shiny. So what you do is you get coarse sandpaper. You might be able to see how rough the grain is of that. It's quite coarse. And what you do is roughen up the surface, otherwise the paint won't take it all. The paint simply won't stick to it. But this is wonderful material. I'm not sure that the dust is any good for me. But this material, once it's sanded, it's really hard too. The surface is really hard. It's bendable, thin. Like you have to use rough paper, otherwise you just don't make any mark on the surface here. No, so it's too smooth. Smooth sandpapers don't work, they tend to polish it a bit. Whereas what you want is you need a really now it's going to be the upright section of the tail. There's 3 bits, 2 end pieces. And that should look good. Now I've got a whole stack of the pieces here. So you can see one of the problems is going to be to join those 2 surfaces together. Oh dear, oh dear. But we'll work that out, I'm sure. I'm going to fit the boom, so I'll use this probe to just poke a hole in the front spar. A hole big enough. Have to get the boom in. Okay, so this one will go in there. Back to W is for women. We've done Florence here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to concentrate on the F-111. Australian women are now working as navigation and weapons officers on Australia's long-range bombers. And they're old. I mean, they come from 1962, so that makes them 40 years old. So not new, but still an exciting aircraft, because it's they call it the pig in Australia. So what I do is, let's just have a look at it. It's not a good drawing, but it was just a sketch. So in the sketch, you're often just trying to get the feeling of it. You can see the proportions are probably wrong. So what I do is I get some plans. I need plans. And what you notice from this photocopy sheet is I've made things a bit larger. Here's the percentage here on the photocopier, 220% from the original illustration. And what I've got then is something that I can lay my material over and measure off. So, and I've got this stuff here, which is look, homeware's designed in Australia, and now I've sanded it up to roughen it up. It's amazing the camera's not coping well at all. See how it's all scratched? Now what I can do is I can lay that on the plans and then trace off the pieces I need. And then I cut out the chunks and add them together. Now, each piece slowly onto the plan. I can slowly build up an F-111. Now let's have a look at it. So here's the thing cut out of bits and pieces of plastic. Camera's not coping with this stuff well at all. So now if you look at the bottom, I can show you some stuff that I've done. That's it. I've got wire strut bracing. It looks like an X-ray, doesn't it? An X-ray of the aircraft. There's the jet nozzles. Oh, geez, that's hard to do. It doesn't see it. So what I've done is, and it's starting to look the part. Like if you look at the tail planes here, oops, they're angled up. Often you see pictures of them in flight, doing that sort of thing. Now because that's fine for the back, because I'm going to be shooting it. You can see it on the on my sketch. If I sprayed it black, you could see it straight away. That's about right. The length's right. But now I've got the plan view, which the top looks fine and the tail plane looks great. The front looks a mess. So what I'm going to do is, I've traced off a cross section. See that? I'll put that nose on the front here. Oh, I can't see it. And I've blown a canopy. So there's the F-111. Let's go across to here on the vise. And what I've done is, I've made a whole new front section. And this front section has been moulded over a buck and it looks like this. This is going to be the new nose for the F-111. So that will combine with this. I'll show you, let me see if I can get it on two things together will make the new F-111, so that's fine. That goes on there. I'll put the nose on, so let's have a look at that while it goes. So what I need to do now is just score across the centre line, which I need. Now I'm going to score across the wing line so I can bend the nose down to get that characteristic droop snout effect. That's probably not a very wise way to do it. Now what I need to do is get that sort of dropped nose effect. Okay, that's good. See that? Looks like a Concorde with the nose down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut a piece out of the wing section. Changed my mind on this. I'm going to cut this off. It'll give me more freedom and flexibility. Look at this. If I take this, that gives me a backbone to work to. Oh, it's going to go back a long way, doesn't it? Oh. That's right. Just take it off. Oops. Darn. It's the third set of those antennas I've made. 3 sets of antennas. I haven't got my method worked out, that's what happens. You probably can't see that very well, but look, I'll show you in a second as soon as I've got it mated up. Just a fraction. So I've got a noseless F111 now, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to combine the 2 bits together and then the last bits. So I put on the bulkhead. Oh. It's so mad because I keep changing it, keep designing it, and I keep changing it. Just enjoy doing it, I guess. So can you see how that flat panel there is giving it the correct characteristic? So it might work on black. I wonder if I put it on black, if it becomes a bit more clear. It does too. Oh, that's good. Okay, let's just go from there, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the nose panel out. It's so much like it now. Because the purpose is to get this on there. Oops. To get that onto there. I see. Huh. So I've ended up chipping a lot of that away. Just need to put a bit more but it's really got the characteristic. That's it. Now what we've got is I've created I've put the cross piece. Remember I cut off across the top there. We cut off across this join. Now I've put in a flat nose. You can actually see it from the front a bit better, I think. Look, let's get it in the middle. Yeah, so I'm picking it up. Oh, you're a funny old thing, aren't you? Let's see if I can get it off the hands and onto the plane. Doesn't want to do it. Okay. So I've got the guys inside the cockpit. And actually it looks remarkably like it's picking up the whole thing. Okay, so I get the picture. So what I'm going to do now is we're putting on the nose. So and we'll be making a totally different sort of thing, and we'll be able to see inside the cockpit in a minute. So what I'll do is I'll need to, because I'm going to do that, I'll paint inside the cockpit. Brush is too big. So there's our pilots, and what I can do now is I'll put the canopy in. I might just paint in black behind them, but that should do it for the moment. Okay. Okay, what we're going to do now is I'm going to put that nose panel on to the nose of the aircraft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick some glue along the rib, the main rib of the nose. See if we can do it. I'm not sure I can. I need some stuff along there. I'll tape that. I'm hoping it'll hold. I don't want anything along the cabin line, but I do want glue along here. Well, I'm hoping. Let's have a look. With this, it doesn't matter if it crazes here, which is okay. Crazes is when you get that sort of bleaching effect of the glue on the canopy. It won't matter because as long as the clear bit stays clear, and there's plenty of that. Okay, major problem or major point is to get that back bit to, first of all, get to slide in without the glue hitting it yet. Try and get it right on that middle line and get that glue down there. Yeah, see, there you get the trouble because it wants to stick to my hand, which this glue is excellent. If I could just stick my hand to every model, I would have no problem. Look at this, it's even sticking to the wing. Alright. So here's the canopy. You can see I've put this bit in, the rounded bit. I've stuck it in with wood at the bottom, wrapped it round the bottom here, and used glue fillets here to hold it in. I'm just trying to work out the canopy, so I'm going back to the plan. I've got the plan here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay some tape over the windscreen. And then I'll cut out the canopy frame. So see the tape up there? Good, okay. Almost flick the glue onto my jumper. No good. Okay, let's have a look. What I'm going to do now is I have to be very careful here, because if I cut too far, I'll cut straight through the thing. I just need to cut. So what happens is I'll leave the tape on the canopy, but I'll pull off the stuff on the outsides, because I can then sand and paint the aircraft. Just have to be really careful. I guess there's nothing that you don't have to be careful with, but I don't know how I get into this stuff sometimes. It's just so finicky. I guess it's the result. I can see the result. It's not the finicky that I want to do, it's the result. Oh, I don't know. Okay, it's not coming up right. I don't want that. Okay, just wait. I'll come back to you. So what happens now is a good coat of undercoat, because you can't see what damage or what needs to be done to it until you've got the undercoat on, because look, it's really bumpy. Looks really smooth from, the see-through plane. Let me just zoom out. Look, this thing is completely see-through. It's like the skeleton plane. It's very cool in that. Oh, darn, it's not picking it up. Geez, it has trouble with that. It's picking up the darks. I want you to see this. I know what I need to do to make it the light. So can you see that? Like, it's all see-through. The whole thing's become see-through. I've got a see-through F111. Very cool. So I'm going to paint it with undercoat now. Almost put it down here so we can see it. It's like painting glass. Now what you can hear is, this is a hot gun. It's blowing hot air. See that? So it's that's heated air. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the cockpit glass here. I'm going to trim this . I'm going to heat it up and try and stretch it over here. Who knows? Maybe. So what I have to do is just make sure it's ready to go, it's ready to fit. I always get very nervous doing this. Now, so we heat it up, so it's the plastic, right? We'll heat it up over here and then we're going to try and pull it over the thing. Alright. Oh, I missed by that much. And then you get that, okay? So I've got to do a full in piece. Now I have both sections of canopy. I have the front and the rear. What I have to do now is I'm going to map out exactly where the cockpit goes, so I'm drawing it out onto the buck. I've also created some damage with the moulding. You might see some marks here, marks there. They're caused by pushing that hard plastic into the soft balsa wood. Now this is going to be creepy because the important thing here is, oh, I must go the other way. No, you just about made it on that one. That was so. Anyway. You can see that there's, I don't know if you can see that there's some creases here that didn't work. Maybe I can just zoom in and show you. See the creases? No good, because I couldn't get a good. But what I should have done was had two pieces of wood under there to pull it down. So I'm going to make this out of two sections. Just make sure I get my canopy lines. 2mm is too big. Don't want to do 1.5mm, let's make it 2mm. So what I'll do is I'll draw in the canopy. I'm going to cut it out larger, so I'm hoping that what I'll have is enough canopy. What I'd like to cut out is about this much. Here's the overlap. I'm going to overlap this here. So I'll overlap on this canopy join. There's two pieces now because I couldn't get it into one. Those two things will fit together on that join. Sounds like a good idea. Now I've traced off the canopy lines. You can see, can you see how, you can faintly see the canopy lines. They're traced off. So what I'm going to do now is cut out the windscreen. It's always a bit of a nervy moment because you never know if you're going to get it right on the line or. But it's very satisfying because after all that carving, what you're actually creating is not something solid, but something almost like mist. It's a very lovely, lovely thing to do. The magic is not lost on me. Well, it's not magic at all, is it? But I love that stuff. Oh. Now here's the overlap. I have to cut these very carefully. I don't want to do it with a knife, I want to do it with scissors. Single cuts is better than a whole lot of small cuts. Surgical scissors help. Probably nail scissors would be... No, they wouldn't, because they'd cut curves. Large canopies, same as the Mustang. The Mustang was difficult too. There we go, look at that. I'll use a file just to smooth that back point up. So, oh, I've dropped it. Doesn't matter where I go, I just need a good straight canopy and make sure I don't cut down into the line of it. That was fun. That was the best fun. You can imagine what I'm going to do now. What I'll do is, let's just take that corner off. I don't like that corner. The overlap's great. Good start to the day today. Good start. Got lots of bits and pieces. This is such fun. Difficult but fun. Actually, the more you do, the better you get. Same as anything. Like cutting fingernails, it is. There you go. One. It's pretty cool, hey? I've taped this back canopy on. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to slip the other canopy over the top. Both bits have been trimmed. Surely that's not it. Look how many pieces I tried. Look, these are all the pieces that didn't work. They fit over certain parts of it. Yeah, it's good. Some good stuff there anyway. Didn't quite work. Didn't quite work. Oops, sorry. Oh gosh. How annoying. Didn't quite work. Didn't quite work. Didn't quite work. So there's lots of them, okay? Sometimes it just doesn't work. And this one, it's really a previous attempt, but look, that didn't work at all. It crazed, and so it's quite amazing. Didn't quite work, lots of them. But the ones that did work, they worked well, except I've got a fault. I'll show you in a minute. I'm just using tape. Try and get these two canopies together. That's it. Just make sure that fits. Need two pieces of tape ready to hold it. Every day before supper time. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Open up the glue. Hello, glue. How are you, glue? Yes. A lot of potential for mistakes here, so what I'll do is I'll use an applicator. Something just to put the glue on. Just see this going wrong big time. Now that should stick. But you can see, you get the idea, don't you? It's looking really good. Except the one thing is I've got these ripples here, but I'll replace that with a flat panel in a minute. What I'll do is I'll cut along there. Oh, I don't know what I'll do. Take that section out. Now what I'm going to try and do is remove the tape that's holding the canopy down. What piece in it's made of? Carbon fibre. Tape's off. What you do now is just cut along that. You have to be very careful for your hands here. I really should have it in a vise. Don't cut towards your hands ever. I'm always very... oh, I hate this bit actually. Happy person. Happy. Oh, strange boy. Now all I have to do is carve it out. There might be a better way to do it, but I don't know it. So what I'll do is I'll just go along that same line again and again. So all I'll be doing now is scoring this out both sides, because I've already done the lines. I'll get it to a point where I can take the whole thing out. So you get the idea? So we just keep slicing it through, and at a given moment you can just crack it out. Now what should happen, of course, because I've got that canopy out, what should happen is that this should fit in exactly. Now this is tricky because I've got to level it up now. It's pretty good. You get the idea, don't you? It's like, it's pretty easy. Pretty straightforward. So start building up the bulkheads. That's going to look so good. I won't worry about the creases. Oh, it's terrific. Such good fun. So what I'll do is when I'm sticking it in, I'll start from this point, and then I have to map out where the actual thing is. So now I reverse again. I go back over here. Canopy goes on there. And what I'll be doing is I'll be marking the actual canopy lines on, so it's hard because it's not marking. Because what I may do is I may have to mark out the canopy with tape here. But gee, that's so much fun. I'm just going to have a look at it one more time just before I go on. That's going to look terrific. It's just going to look so terrific. It's about as real as it gets, and remember, in this shot it's going to be upside down like that. I love it. The next thing to put on is get the wings on. So we have our aircraft here, see that? And what I've done is I've put a spar through there. I've cut a gap up into the plane so that spar goes in just like a real aircraft. Spar boom, and I've pushed a piece of wire through there. Now what I'm going to do here is support some pieces on there. I'll start building up the wing profile. I've drawn the wing profile on the fuselage, and what I'm going to do is start building it up. So let's put that one on. I'm making that funny sound because I've always got the glue top in my mouth. I don't realise I'm doing it. That's it. Update time. We've undercoated. We've started building the cockpit. If we look in here, you can see that this is acetate. Bits of acetate bent and just stuck down and then painted. You can also see I'm having a bit of trouble getting the right height. I've cut through there and then had to add a piece back again. Got an air scoop on the front. That was just a piece of curved acetate, and I've started filling the sanding. I was sanding away at the tailplane here, and I've actually sanded a bit off the rudder and trim tabs, so I've masked it off with it's having a bit of trouble. Mask it off with tape, and I've filled that in, and I'll sand in that patch that's missing. You might also notice over the surface it's pretty rough. See the holes and stuff? We'll have to fill all those. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just filling gaps. I'm using the body filler just to fill up some sections, and then I'm going to put the pilot's head in. Let's have a look at all that. We should be able to stick with that. I can't really keep the camera running while I'm sanding because it's so dusty. It's starting to get into the camera. So what I do is, there it goes. I've got heaps left. So I'm just getting rid of those little dips, scratches and lumps. Just try and smooth out that scoop area. I'll put it on later. Yeah, anyway. So we'll fill that. I've got the pilot's head, and I've stuck a neck post up, and I'm going to put that head on now. So what I'm going to have to do is just cut that neck post down. It's much too high. But I've stuck the wire in there. That's pretty good, isn't it? See that? What I want is her looking back and up See how you get that attitude? That's called attitude. The angle, the slant of the head, the expression of the head. Don't worry about the fact that you can see that neck. Gee, that's strange. Why won't it? So I'll stick that on wherever it goes. I think it might be somewhere around there. That's pretty good, isn't it? Alright. Good start. Now I can finish off my figure. 0, 0. That's finished for that tape. Good stuff. Just let this stuff on the front dry. Body filler. And we'll sand that off. I've set up a jig. I've started building the tail plane. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out and glue them in. So I've got the tail booms which I've set up on the ground into tape. Oh, that was a bit too quick. Should have thought about that first. I'm really enjoying this one actually. But yeah, it's all taking too long, isn't it? Now I thought I'd need a jig. I don't need a jig at all. Basically I can just get it together like this because, I don't know, maybe it's from sanding the edge, but the edges are gluing very, very aggressively and it's making a strong joint, so I'm perfectly happy to go with that because it doesn't have to bear any weight. Basically it's going to be on the tail booms and I don't have to worry about it. So I can just hold it for a second. Well, anybody who says just a sec or a second really doesn't mean a second, do they? 3 cat and dog, 4 cat and dog, 5 cat and dog, 6 cat and dog. What is it with those cat and dogs? You want to tell the time, you've got to use a cat and a dog. As far as I know, no canine or feline has developed a wristwatch. It's looking good, isn't it? That's looking really cool. Okay, here we go. See the boom here? I'll put glue on the end of it. It's sort of a jig here. So it's hard, you know, like sometimes you do it. It just doesn't look right. There you go. Okay. Now. It's creepy because you spend all that time preparing things and then you're finally doing the shot. Okay. Probably see that. Just stuck it down. Now this one. It's not a good curve, is it? Let's see how it goes. I love it. It's a bit like a voodoo object. It's got my wife's hair in it. I love it. Lee's hair. Hey, this one really sticks more closely than the other one. Super glue. Gotta watch that because I keep. Oh, jeez. That'll do. That'll do. Twist it. That's good. Okay. It's going to be good. Too much. It happens sometimes. That's the one secret about model building. Don't use too much glue. It's the one secret. There's nothing else you have to know just about. Then again, I always use too little, so it's probably not a good thing either. Now I'm going to stick this on because it seems like the best thing to do while this is in the jig and stuck down. This is a good chance. Oh, I love it. It's so lovely. Start with a palette of colour. What I've got is I've got the yellow ochre, bit of varnish so that it becomes transparent like it would for and just a bit of red brown just to give it a bit of a tint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that colour down in nice streaks, because that's how the linen went. It was kind of streaky, so what I'll do is nice even strokes front to back to make it look exactly like the linen was. Make sure it doesn't bead up like that. Straight strokes, and that was the weave of the linen that you saw on the inside. Straight strokes front to back. Bit of red brown in the ochre. Straight strokes, there you go. And I'll do top and bottom. It's much stronger now because I've rigged up the lines that hold the tail boom to the top of the structure. But I have to paint inside now before I glue it together, because if I glue the pieces on I won't be able to get in here anymore if I glue the top on it. Whoops. Did you see that? I missed a bit. Oh, it didn't miss a bit. It's not gripping to the plastic. It's forming bubbles. That's much better. It's looking good. Okay, all surfaces. Remember, I've sanded this so it's all rough. It should be rough enough. That's why the paint's beading. It's not rough enough on those places. Front to back, front to back, front to back. So your brush stroke should go even, smooth, front to back, front to back. And that should give it a look like a linen weave. Take off the leading edges, make sure the paint build-up's not on the leading edges. Leading edges means the front one. Like that. That's it, beautiful. Now underneath here, do that one. There you go, that looks a bit like fabric. Just going to wait, I'll sand that again in a minute. There you go. That looks so much better. It's starting to really look the part now, isn't it? Oh, I had the wrong wide shot. So, there we go. Take that front edge off. Paint builds up at the front and back for some reason. I think as it unloads from the brush. I've got some patches to do here because I've been filling in some pieces there. Front of the wing. That's where the linen wraps around the wing. There's a bit more orange in the other fabric. That's okay, we'll do that later. I've had a look at this tail plan and I think it's too tall. So what I'm going to do is I've marked it off with the dividers. I've measured the distance that I want to cut off. And I've scored it off along the side, and now I'm going to cut it off. I used a knife before to get things nice and square, but I think I'll just go with scissors here. I can always use these. Oh jeez, that was crooked.